Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Under Hood Show. My name is Josh Profit. I'm the service director here at Mel Hambelton Ford. Alongside me today, I have Scotty Gurman. Good morning, Scotty.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Doing wonderful. It's a little bit different outside today than what it has been. So, hey, this is a call-in show. The phone number's down at the bottom of the screen there, but 316-462-3673. That's a number to jump on the air here with us. And, hey, let's talk about anything automotive. You want to talk about maintenance intervals, new vehicle products, the strike.
Yeah.
You want to talk about racing, whatever it is. You got any automotive questions? Car's not acting quite right. You want to talk about that? Let's do it. So it's call-in show 316-462-3673. That's a number to jump on the air here with us. And for each and every caller, we give you guys a prize package. It goes out to you. We'll send it out in the mail, but it's valued at about $130, depending upon how you value the multi-point inspection that we complete with it. But it consists of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Mel Hambelton Ford. While we're completing that, we're also going to do a multi-point inspection on that vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components, just making sure that vehicle's geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the big corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer, especially days like today. Yeah, the nitrogen definitely has a huge benefit for that. And then a BG products package, which consists of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then CF5 for your fuel system. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. So with all that being said, good morning, Scotty.
Good morning, Josh. How's it going?
Going really well. We had a very busy week here at the dealership on the service side of things. It seems like, temperature changes like this and you get a cold snap. Of course, honestly, it's always kind of controlled chaos for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes feel like an air traffic controller and directing things and trying to get everybody taken care of the best we can as well. So definitely been a busy week for sure. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about today. It is I cannot believe that it's almost the end of October.
Did you see what shirt I'm wearing?
I do see that, yeah. So when that's something we can talk about as well.
Absolutely.
That we have coming up. But it's just unbelievable that we are almost to November of 2023. This year has just flown by. The temperature is substantial about different. But the next thing to roll around this week is Halloween.
Yeah,
it's on
I know.
Tuesday.
I know.
So I thought it'd be kind of cool for the callers if they wanted to talk about any type of ghost that they had in their vehicle. So I was going to talk, make this about, a possessed vehicle,
Sure.
a demon, and when I think of that, I think of something that's very intermittent.
Yeah.
And so I thought we could make today's show kind of about intermittent concerns, repairs.
Okay.
And then also, as a consumer, maybe some of the things that they could help us with or situations that we get into or we've found. I've got several off the top of my head of scenarios that we went through that was hard for us to try and help a consumer to fix.
Yeah.
And things that they can do with us to help us get their problem resolved.
Absolutely.
So let's first we'll go. Got a couple comments already. Looks like Delbert is traveling. Good morning, Delbert. How are you? Says at Charlotte Airport, waiting for my flight. It's an hour.
An hour ahead home to OKC.
Very good. Can't wait. Yeah, he was down in Florida. I do remember that from last week, but it looks like he's headed back to Oklahoma City. I did read a forecast. I think Oklahoma City, I think it's sunny and 70 there.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah, I think you're good, Delbert.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
But hopefully safe travels. Hopefully your plane's on time, all that stuff with that Delbert being down there as well. So, but yeah, today, let's call in with your intermittent concern or issues that you've had about a vehicle. Maybe, the other thing I think of is the Stephen King movie, Christine, the possessed car.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for your car? It surprises me as a consumer or as being in this business, how many customers
Yeah.
actually name their car.
They refer to them as him or her.
Yeah.
Whatever vehicle they drive. And that's something. Well, she's driving a little rough, or he's a little bit mad right now. I'm like, okay.
So
all
what do you have a name for your car? What's the name? And then if you get a different car, does it have a different name, or is the name of the car always the same? So if you're one of those people that name your car, call in, state, hey, what the name of the vehicle is or what you call it, and then also any intermittent issues that you've faced or had issues with. So that's kind of going to be the theme for today. But please call in 316-462-3673. Share your story on that. The other thing, so we'll get back to that, but real quick, I want to mention we've got the South Central Mustang Club has a car show this coming up next Saturday. So Saturday the 4th, it's going to be at Grace Point Church, which is 9035 West Central. It's going to be from 9 to 3. And we're going to be out there. We'll do the radio show live from there to kick that off. They're going to call in a little later on this show, and we'll go over it again a couple of different times. But again, 9 to 3, it's for the South Central Mustang Club. And it's a show and shine car show, motorcycle show. The thing is, it does say the Mustang Club, but it's all makes and models. It does not have to be Ford specific. And it's benefiting the Passageway. So it's for a wonderful cause to help those out. So if you got one of those hot rods and you want to break it out, let's get that down there for the spectators to view. But if you just if you don't and you want to go to a car show, that's a great thing to do as well. So again, that's going to be at Grace Point Church next Saturday from 9 to 3. And then let's get out and support those guys for that great cause. So we'll hopefully get a call from one of those guys a little bit later today. So anyways, so
back to naming the car.
Yeah.
To naming the car. The one thing immediately that came to mind was, do you know Ford Pass actually encourages you to name your car?
It does. Yeah, it does.
All of my vehicles for like the past 5 of them have all been black vehicles. So mine's always been the same name. It's always been Black Betty.
Okay.
Ever since that app came out. So every single vehicle I have has been Black Betty.
So your name then transfers on. Yeah. And I think, they do that just to build a connection.
Sure.
For sure. But yeah, I am very surprised by that. I've never had a name for a vehicle or never named a vehicle, but it really does surprise me how many people do in fact name their vehicle and I have seen some interesting ones.
Oh yeah.
I really do like naming things. And I'll give you an example of that. And this is completely unrelated to anything automotive.
Well, you can't tell everybody what you call me.
Yeah.
That's not
so.
That's not.
My boys, when they were much younger, my wife got them a fish, and they're like, oh, what do we call it or whatever, and I ended up naming it Fish Stick. Again, completely unrelated to automotive, but you gotta be clever or come up with something along those lines, for sure. So I've got both a couple of examples of vehicles with intermittent issues as a consumer. So something that I had personally owned, but then also from the repair side of things, I've got several examples of that, and of situations that we've got into here that I know were extreme headaches for a consumer, and then us trying to help them navigate through that. So first of all, on the consumer side of things, I purchased this has been many years ago when I worked for GM. Purchased a brand new Silverado pickup.
Okay,
and the thing had, I don't know at the time, I want to say, it was maybe 2,500 miles. And my wife and I went to Dallas and was headed to Dallas, and we're driving down 35, and we get between Oklahoma City and kind of the state line down there, and I had been driving for many hours to that point, and the truck just shuts off, just dies going down the road.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Completely dies going down the road. And I'm thinking, and I'm a GM tech at the time, and kind of wondering what's going on and all that stuff. And so we pull over to the side of the road and couldn't get it to refire. It would crank, but couldn't get it to refire. So thought maybe something was going on with the fuel pump. Obviously didn't have all the tools and everything like that to test everything. But was able to identify that there was some fuel pressure in it just by pressing the Schrader valve in the fuel system. Anyways, it wasn't 5 minutes later, the truck starts back up and ran fine. Went the complete rest of the trip. Everything was fine. Took it back to the dealership when we got back, and went through, did a diagnosis on it. Like there was no codes, everything was absolutely fine. And so as it goes on, drove the truck for several thousand miles later.
Really?
Ended up I had that truck for, I don't know, I want to say 75,000 miles. And over the course of that 75,000 miles, and I'm going to say 7-8 years, something like that I owned it, it happened on 4 occasions that it would just die. just die. And then you'd wait about 5 minutes, it'd start back up, take off, and it never had the equipment at the time that it died to be able to identify or figure out what was going on with it. I ended up selling it to somebody that I knew, who then drove it for another 200,000 miles plus.
And you disclosed all of that.
Yeah. I told him exactly what, because here's the thing, especially, selling a vehicle, on something used like that. Like I don't want any, I want you to know everything I know. So exactly. Told him exactly about those situations and what was going on. He never once had it happen to him.
Are you kidding me?
Never went in 200 and some thousand miles. He ended up wrecking the truck. It was pulling a camping trailer. He ended up getting in a wreck, and it ended up totaling out the vehicle. But my point to this is, like, it was so intermittent, and the vehicle never really left me stranded. It started up after about 5 minutes of waiting there, but still to this day don't know what the deal was or what was wrong with it or anything like that. And so as a consumer, like, I could see where that would be very frustrating, especially if you're doing a lot of traveling, going a lot of places, different distances. You don't want that thing to leave you stranded somewhere. Nobody wants that by any means. But an example of that, of 4 times in 75,000 miles, like, that is extremely intermittent.
That's extremely intermittent. That may be the longest, like, intermittent concern I've ever heard of.
the duration of it.
Yeah, the duration.
And so again, from the consumer side of things, extremely frustrating. But what I want the consumers to understand, or as listeners to understand, like, we're here to help you. It's not our desire for you to bring something in knowing you're having a problem with it, and for us to be able to say, hey, we're unable to duplicate your problem.
Yes,
there's nothing that, we're not finding anything wrong with your vehicle. But also, we want to ensure that what we tell you is wrong with the vehicle is actually wrong with the vehicle.
Right.
And so let's kind of go through some of the things that, you as a service consultant, or with the technician side of things that you get, that we can tell consumers, hey, help us with this. This is information that we need. Yeah.
I mean, we had one. You and I both had one not that long ago. That was kind of a weird ordeal, because it was an actual rental company vehicle. And so they're not the ones who drive it. They rent the vehicle out, and they are not with the customer or with the person renting the vehicle whenever it was acting up. But it was a pretty big issue. It said it was overheating, and it was a big ordeal. The vehicle had to be pulled over, towed into the dealership, and we would drive that thing. I mean, I think we drove it all the way to Hutchinson and back maybe several. 4 times,
several
5 times, and we never got it to act up. Well, after maybe the third, I think it was third time it came back in, we finally got more information to where it was a rental rocket, as they call it, which means that whoever was driving the vehicle was driving it like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
And so once we figured that information, we were able to finally duplicate the issue. Without that information, we would have been driving it to Hutchinson and back over and over and over again.
Yep.
And
so
never got to duplicate.
This specific vehicle was an Edge. It was a ST.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of a performance based Edge. And again, having different consumers in it, there was no consistency in when it would act up. Sometimes it would be pretty quick. Other times it would go several hundred or thousand miles in between occurrences and things like that. But what all the details matter.
Yes.
Like, I cannot stress that enough to the consumers, is that it makes so much difference in the amount of details that you give somebody.
Right.
And I can think of, situations of a night drop. So somebody just drops off a vehicle, writes a short little blip on an envelope, or a husband and a wife. The husband drives the vehicle, but the wife brings it in and she doesn't know what he's experiencing.
That's a big one
or
too,
vice versa. And 100% I get your time is valuable, and trying to make it very convenient for the customer sometimes is challenging from our side of things, is because we may need additional information. It may take 15 or 20 minutes to get you properly checked in and the information in the system. And then the third thing is we cannot drive the vehicle every time like the consumer can.
Right.
Our technicians are going to drive it different, and so sometimes there's no replacement for actually taking the time as a consumer to come in and go for a ride with a technician or an advisor, and showing them how you're operating the vehicle. And it's not to say that you're operating it wrong. It's just we may operate it different.
Right.
The other thing I can think of is, atmospheric conditions are so important. Was it raining? Was it warm? Was it cool? All of that stuff, it plays a factor in trying to be able to figure this stuff out. And so, as a consumer, the more information or more detailed information that you can give us, whether it's even pertinent or not, we can help try to replicate those exact scenarios to figure out exactly what's going on with your vehicle.
Absolutely. And I always tell people, if it ever is in that intermittent ghost and gremlins situation to where it's something that's intermittently happened, I always say, whenever it does happen, I want you to take a mental picture of your head. Think of things. What's the temperature like outside? Is it raining? How much fuel do I have? What's the situation? How long has it been sitting? Just all of these questions could potentially matter in a diagnosis for a technician. So that's extremely pertinent information to us, helping you out.
Certainly. Yeah, very much so. Hey, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. Let's talk about your Halloween vehicle.
Yeah, man.
Or whatever intermittent concern that you had ever experienced before, or if you name a car. Have you named a car? What car was it? What was the name of the car? Was your next car the same name, or was it something different? Come on, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here for our topic of discussion today. So, definitely, I would say probably the most areas today that we find intermittency in would be the electronics on things. So you get into like the sync systems or the nav screens or and it's not working for a consumer like it once was, or like they've had before. This car is not working like the husband's car is not working like the wife's car, stuff like that. But what I'll say to you as a consumer about that is, again, the details matter. What kind of phone are you running? What's the the version of that phone? These the phones, I mean, they come out brand new every 2 months. Somebody's coming out with a different phone and an update to that. And you think about that, I mean, they're literally two computers that are communicating with each other, and if one's on this level and one's on this level, and they're not seeing eye to eye, it's going to cause issues. It's going to cause compatibility issues. And so everybody from, again, the retail provider side of things, like, well, I got a brand new phone, there can't be my phone, or there's no problem with the phone, or stuff like that. And there may be some cases where, yeah, there is no problem with the phone. But then there also may be where it's just a matter of
compatibility.
Compatibility and what version level and stuff it's on.
So a lot of those screens or those systems, the hands-free, they're manufactured by a biased company. So if you have an Apple manufactured radio system or something like that, it's going to communicate better hands-free with those products. So if it's a Microsoft manufactured system, it's going to work hands-free better. And so I know, especially in like the 2014 to, I want to say it was like 2020 and until it's kind of started getting better, it was actually better for you to plug in a Apple phone than use it Bluetooth at one time. So it's things like that, that especially if the more details you give us with those kind of concerns, the more we have to help you in that regard. So
sure. Hey, let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Danny. Danny, you're on live with Under the Hood. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Thanks
for taking my call. Yeah. Hey, I have a 2008 Ford F-150, but I have a ongoing tire pressure sensor fault indicator. But what I'm wondering is there a way to locate which one that is, or how do you troubleshoot that and know, or do you have to just replace them all?
And you said it's a 2008?
Yes.
Okay. So back in 2008, they in those systems, they did not determine sensor location.
Yeah, correct.
So it was just, hey, you have a low tire. As they advanced and years got newer, they would actually identify location of tire based on if it was programmed when the tires were rotated and everything like that. And then later on, to the more modern vehicles, it will actually give you specific tire pressures in each vehicle. So the way we would identify which one of these is the issue would be to run a diagnostic, go through a diagnostic trouble tree, and that's going to be a step-by-step set of instructions to figure out exactly, which one of those sensors is failing. So we do have tire pressure monitoring scan tools and programming tool that would program each one of those sensors. So basically it's going to go to each one of them and it's going to verify the frequency that sensor is given out. It's going to give you like the battery life of it, and then also whether that sensor is transmitting or not. But I'm going to say it could be a potential of it just not being programmed, but most likely you probably have a tire pressure sensor that's out, and it would be the use of that tool to be able to identify exactly which one of it is.
That's what I was going to say too, Danny. Have you ever had to replace any of those sensors in the past?
No, I have not.
You have not. Okay, so most likely those are the original sensors, and if those are the original sensors in those things, they've lasted a long time.
Yeah.
With that scan tool that we have, we can actually we can indicate which one is not communicating correctly, and that's most likely what that light is coming on intermittently. I would guess that one of the batteries is starting to get low in one of those sensors.
Got a weak battery.
Yeah, exactly. But with the age of those, it could be multiple of them, but we could definitely figure that out.
And so, there's a couple of different options. Typically what you see is, especially in a vehicle of that age, once one starts going, it's probably not going to be long, and you're going to have other ones that are dropping out as well. And so sometimes it's just more convenient for you, not to have to do one and then the other, and then the other is just bite the bullet and replace all of them. I don't know where you're at as far as tread depth and kind of what that looks like, but that's sometimes consumers will do that as they come closer to the end of the life of their tires on an older vehicle like that. Then we'll just replace the sensors at that point as well. But that sensor is actually in the tire. It's on the valve stem.
I think those
actually,
are bands.
that might be a band one.
Yeah.
But it's clamped to the wheel on your specific one, and then there is a battery in that, kind of like a watch battery in that sensor. You cannot replace the battery. You just it's a sealed sensor.
Yeah.
You just have to replace the whole whole sensor assembly together. But I'm guessing that's probably what's going on with it. And for calling into the show today, we'll add a diagnostic onto your package as well. So we'll take a look at that at no charge to you, let you know exactly which one of those is and what it's going to take to get that thing fixed up.
Okay. Well, thanks. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
Hey,
Drive me nuts.
yeah, I understand that completely. So do you have an intermittent issue that you've fought before, or have you ever named a vehicle or know somebody that has named a vehicle?
Yes, my daughter named her vehicle.
Okay.
What's the name?
Yeah. Do you know what kind of vehicle it is?
It was her first car. It was a 98 Pontiac Grand Prix. It's white, called Pearl.
Nice.
Very good.
Nice.
Very good. Were you part of the naming process?
No, I was not.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you think she was crazy for naming it?
Oh, not crazy, maybe a little bit off, though. But that's okay.
Yeah. So what I will tell you is it is very surprising, and it is fun. You know, you get
Sure.
customers in here and they're adamant about, hey, this is my
Yeah.
whoever, and they introduce you to them and stuff like that. But yeah, and I've seen some different names, that's for sure. So very good. Hey, Danny, thanks for the call. Thanks for the story, and we'll get that diagnostic added on your package. Okay.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Danny.
Have a
Guys.
great
Take care.
Perfect. Very good. Very good. Hey, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us and tell us your story. You know, do you have an intermittent gremlin or ghost out there, or in the past, have you had anything that you struggled to find or fight? And then have you named your vehicle, or do you know anybody that does name their vehicle, and do you think they're crazy, or are they not? So 316-462-3673. That's the number to call us up and tell us your story. So going back to Danny's deal and his low tire light, or excuse me, tire pressure monitoring system fault. You know, nitrogen, something that we didn't even get into, but
Yeah, that's true.
this time of year with the fluctuations in the temperature, and nitrogen is a huge benefit to be able to help stabilize that air pressure, so you do not get the fluctuations and then cause a low tire light.
I am guessing that is the #1 most common call for the quick lane this morning. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I could see that. Or I don't know as that we're quite there yet. Getting close. I happened to help a gentleman last night with a battery.
Oh yeah, that's another good one. Yeah,
they were went to leave to go somewhere, and which is very odd. So as a newer expedition, you know, the lights had come on, the running boards would deploy. They would click the start button, and it would actually turn over a little bit. It would crank for just a second or two, and then it would just stop cranking.
Yep.
And so that battery, I mean, it was just right on the threshold of starting, not starting for sure. But he wasn't able to start it.
Yep.
And then it was doing a couple other weird
check engine light.
Yeah.
If you jump start it and the check engine light's on, I mean, it could be battery related.
Yep. 100%. And then these new vehicles now, they have battery monitoring
system
modules in them. My goodness, that was
that was tough for you.
That was back to school.
That's right.
Modules on them, and you know, if you replace the battery and you don't reset that causes a check engine light.
Exactly.
So definitely these vehicles are becoming more technologically advanced for sure, and you know, it's so important. Battery voltage is crucial on these vehicles because of all the different modules and how much they communicate with one another, and then how finicky they are based on battery stable battery voltage.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So
especially those vehicles that have things like auto start on them. And one of the thresholds, I had a guy that came in and he's like, ever since I've had the vehicle, auto start worked fine, but after like 2.5 years, all of a sudden it won't start, or it won't stop when I'm at a stoplight. One of those things, and I think it's a list of like 30 or plus things that have to be right in order for the vehicle to have auto start.
Yeah.
One of them is battery voltage. And it just so happens that his battery was at the end of its life, and that's what was causing it.
Never achieved the
exactly. And so we put a new battery in it. Oh, I'll be gosh darn. The auto start works just fine.
Yep.
So,
You see that a lot on older older vehicles that have the auto start where it doesn't auto start as much as it used to when it was newer. And that is exactly right. It's because of the age of the battery and the condition of it. So, hey, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. Let's talk about intermittent issues you had with your vehicle or naming a vehicle. Rex put a comment down there. Yeah, get the batteries checked, folks. Rex, I know you've got a name your vehicle story. I'm almost positive
100%
that you either know somebody or have a name your vehicle story. So let's hear what it is. So again, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us and tell us your story and about what you have going on. So, when we talk about intermittent issues and then trying to help a consumer through that, the number one thing that I tell just about every consumer that I get involved in when you guys are conducting business with them, maybe they're starting to get a little frustrated because the vehicle's been in, once or twice and we hadn't got it figured out yet, or maybe just the customers experienced it on multiple times and we haven't even had a chance to fix it. Or in a lot of situations I'll be involved in that they've had it to another shop where they've tried to figure it out themselves and have replaced multiple parts on it. And just their frustration level is so high. I will always make the comment of, hey, I understand you're frustrated. I would be too in this given situation of where you're at. But what I want you to understand is this is a partnership. Yeah. We have to work together to help solve this problem. And so I understand you're frustrated. Well, don't be frustrated at us. Let's work together. You're probably frustrated with the vehicle, the situation, the time and effort and stuff that you've put into this, but it is 100% a partnership. And that's where the defining answer is in the details. The whens, the whats, the who's, the where's, the whys, the hows, the what that temperature was, all that stuff. That's what makes the difference. And I can think on several situations where it's a matter of transfer information too. Is that it's husband's car, wife drops it off, she tells us something, technician gets it, and it's like, wow, we're not even in the right.
It's the game of telephone, and it's not. It's really hard to do that with anything. So, if I have that situation, I always go to the person who's driving the vehicle because that's the best information I'm gonna get.
Yep, very much so. So, hey, 316-462-3673. That's a number to jump on the air here with us and tell us about your intermittent story or the naming of a vehicle. We got a phone call coming through, so we'll get Greg patched through here in just a little bit and get see what's on Greg's mind this morning. So, 316-462-3673. So, good morning, Greg. You're on live with Under the Hood.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was calling for a couple of things.
Okay.
Of course. The intermittent issues, the things that come up from time to time. I actually have a vehicle that throws check engine light, and I have a code reader. Of course, I know that's not diagnostic, but nevertheless, and it's an 07 Corvette.
Okay.
And it gives the code for an O2 sensor behind the catalytic converter. And from my understanding, that's just, is it in range or not? Well, sometimes that check engine light goes off all by itself because apparently it's been inspected long enough. And then other times it kicks on. And I'm like, well, there you go. And meanwhile, the car runs fine. The research of looking stuff up online, because that's what I'm good at. just says that's what that's for is the catalytic converter functioning right. And I bought the car for my dad, and he's already replaced the catalytic converter and that O2 sensor. I'm like, meanwhile it runs at the top.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions for you. You said it's a 2007 Corvette. How many miles does this thing have on it?
47,000 now.
Dang.
47,000.
It did have 43 when I bought it.
Okay.
You guys actually put tires on it here a couple months ago. So
Yeah. So a couple of things that I would make a comment on this thing. So and do you know, is it the bank 1 or bank 2 on the O2 sensor?
man, I wish I could remember. I think the passenger side, whichever that is. Too.
Yeah. So there's kind of several ways to take this. So first of all, depending upon the code, because there's probably about 5 different O2 sensor codes per sensor. So there's a condition code, which is indicating that the converter is not really doing its job. And so basically your front oxygen sensor is monitoring the output of the engine. So is it running rich or lean? And then it's adjusting the engine, either fuel or air ratio, to make that the right mixture. Then the exhaust flows through the converter, and the rear O2 sensor is to monitor that the converter is taking the emissions out of the exhaust like it's supposed to. And so there should be a nice steady waveform of that exhaust kind of bouncing back and forth, going, rich, lean, rich, lean.
Yeah, looks like a children's roller coaster.
It's just real subtle and smooth. So if the converter is not doing its job, that's a problem. But it sounds like you've had the converter replaced. But just because the converter was replaced, if there's a small pinhole or leak in the exhaust somewhere, it could be getting outside air into there. That would keep that oxygen sensor from reading what it's supposed to be reading. So the vehicle's doing everything that it needs, but it's getting an outside air in the exhaust somewhere. We've seen that, a pinhole or a crack in the exhaust. So that's one option. The other option is each one of those oxygen sensors has a heater on it. And that heater is designed to put that vehicle into closed loop sooner than so basically, when you very first start a vehicle cold, the computer is not monitoring that exhaust because it's got to get everything up to operating temperature sooner. And so it could be a code for a heating element in that oxygen sensor. And then the other 2 codes would be identifying the sensor not receiving power like it should be or ground like it should be. And in both of those cases, it would be more likely an electrical issue from either the computer, wiring running through the vehicle. And so there's a lot of different options that could be causing that one code that you have to do that. And so it would be more of a running a diagnostic on that and figuring out exactly what's going on. Now, when it comes on and goes off, the other thing that I was going to say is, it's a 2007. It's got pretty low mileage. You could be something as simple as the age of fuel that you're running in the vehicle.
Yeah.
If it sits a lot and the fuel is aged and it's not combusting or burning like it needs to, that could be a problem. Then the another thing that I was thinking about is what octane of fuel are you running in the vehicle versus what octane of fuel is it supposed to be having? So is it supposed to have 91 octane, and are you running 87 octane? Because that's going to make a difference too. So a lot of different options there, threw a lot at you. And so with that,
So I've had it for about 6 months, and all that time I've put premium in it. I've put about 4,000 miles on it, not a bunch, but I mean, I don't know. I drive it to work every now and again, and we do put premium in it. But I think it's that second issue, the catalytic converter, because from what I'd read, that was the deal, is that it's to get the check engine light to go off so that you go into the shop and not just wait for your annual inspection, which Ken just doesn't even have anyway. But that's why Dad replaced the catalytic converter to begin with, because that was the code, and he replaced it. I think he went with an aftermarket, not a GM original O2 sensor, and so it's getting different values.
So to be perfectly honest, that could be another issue too, is that oxygen or that new aftermarket converter, it may not meet the same specifications as a factory one, and you could have got the right part as far as figured out that it was the right part that was broken, but then the one you put in there failed in a very similar way or just a different option. So, but we're going to throw a diagnostic onto your package as well. We'll take a look at that thing at no charge to you and help you get this thing figured out. You said you're running 91 octane. I would be very curious to know. I'm almost guessing that car's not supposed to have 91 octane, but I wouldn't know that without looking at it or looking at the owner's manual. So,
and another, oh, go ahead.
It is. I looked it up.
It does it? Okay. Okay. Yep. I didn't know a lot of those, unless it was a Z06 or the ZR1, then it didn't take that. So, but yeah, very, very good. So we'll throw that diagnostic on there and take a look at it at no charge to you. So,
and I was going to say,
and then
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say one more thing that you just get. Whenever we say it's all in the details, this is exactly what we're talking about. Whenever you said it's an aftermarket catalytic converter, and Josh saying that a small pinhole leak could be a cause, whenever they install an aftermarket catalytic converter, a lot of the times what they have to do is cut out the original catalytic converter and weld in an aftermarket. And if that's what they did, there is a possibility of a welding issue. There's just a small hole that could be causing that issue no matter what. So I just wanted to throw that out there too.
Well, and that's the last time that the last time it was off, I went out to start it to go to work, and my wife rides to work with me, and we're riding to work, and I'm like, hey, wait, the check engine light went off. And I thought, man, that's kind of crazy. And I get on the interstate at Southwest Boulevard and 235, and it's kind of a curly cube, but you have to jump on it to get up to speed. I mean, that's why I jumped.
Well, you have to jump on it. Yeah, it's right there, the curly cube. Yeah.
That's right. So when I jumped on a little bit, then the light came on. I thought, well, that's perfect. I mean, I thought, man, maybe this thing is resolving itself, because I've the same thing. I know my dad put low test 87 octane in it. I'm like, to save 40 cents a gallon,
yep.
I'm not. It's not worth it to me. I'd rather bring the extra 20 ponies with me to
wherever you're going. Yeah, right. Very much so. Well, because you're that curly Q and you got to get on it. So get on it. you need the 20 extra.
It's a must.
Understand that completely. So, well, very good. We'll get that diagnostic added onto your package and take a look at that thing, figure out what's going on with it. So the question is, do you have a name for it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
No, I don't. And it's, the color is called Velocity Yellow.
Uh-huh.
So it's really yellow, and it has the the V06 reproduction type wheels. They're the right size for the base model, but they look like the V06 wheels.
Well, very good.
It's definitely old man spec, but I don't have a name for it or anything like that.
That's okay. That's so fine. Do you know somebody that has a name for their vehicle, and are they crazy or not?
No,
yeah.
I used to, but I have to cut that kind of stuff out of my life.
That's awesome. There you go. Okay, understand that. Understand that.
Well, anyway,
yeah.
So then the second thing I wanted to throw at you guys, because my Toyota, I have a Toyota Avalon. It's a hybrid, and now that I'm finally past the included maintenance from when I bought it, I really want to bring it to you guys. But my question is about the hybrid battery air filter. I know there's an air filter back there for the hybrid battery.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you guys check? And is that part of, I don't know. How do you address?
Yeah, that is something that we can check. So we do have the maintenance interval guidelines, just like Ford vehicles as well, on that thing. And yeah, so that is something that would be part of the routine service if that's what it's slated for at that time and mileage, for sure. And so, as much as I'd love for everybody to have Fords, understand that that's not the case. And we've got a lot of years of experience of guys back here with different makes and models and manufacturers and training that's done with that as well. And so, yes, we're very well equipped to handle those competitive makes as well. So,
well, that's kind of the issue, is that if you want to service your vehicle at some other place like Toyota, they want you to set an appointment for next week on the second Thursday, and you got to show up right at whatever time, and then you're still there for hours. And I really like the quick lane. I like being able to go and I can drop it, or you guys even have come and picked it up from me at my
Oh,
work.
yeah.
Yep, we do
That's
that.
handy. And if I'm really honest, I think one of the biggest things that you guys have cultivated with me is the trust. I know you guys are going to take care of it. I'm able to even text my service rider down at the quick lane. He's able to communicate with me about whatever issues that we have.
That's great.
So, I don't know.
That is a great point. And, here's the thing, as there going to be a time that we're going to mess up, it's going to happen, for sure. Now that's not our desire. We don't want that. And I go back to the comment that I made, earlier in the show with trying to find or replicate a intermittent issue, is that it's a partnership.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a matter of working together to solve an issue. And, as long as, both parties understand that, it's just a matter of good communication and trying to stay on top of things. And we are here to do the right thing for sure, 100%. And if we fall short, we want to be able to make that up and get it taken care of and fixed. And so I thank you for the comments that you made and giving us the opportunity to take care of those vehicles as well. So.
Yep.
Well, very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the calls, and you have a great rest of your day. Okay.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Very good. Hey, let's see. I was going to go through and talk about, Rex has got a comment here because I called him out on his name. So he said, I had a 1971 Buick Electra 225 land yacht with a 454 that my friends named the Love Boat. It would seat 12. I love it. That's a great story.
That's great.
Yeah, very good. Very good, Rex. So his friends named it the Love Boat. That I bet that car has some stories to tell.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah. I would just about guarantee that car has some stories to tell. So, hey, wanted to go over the car show that we're going to be doing next week. So this is the South Central Kansas Mustang Club is putting this thing on. It's the Barry Leopard Memorial. It's benefit show and shine car and motorcycle show and the benefiting passageways. So it's a great cause. It's going to be at Grace Point Church, which is 9035 West Central. So over here at Tyler and Central. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It is the South Central Kansas Mustang Club that's putting this on, but it's going to be an all makes, all models car show. So if you got it, bring it. And then if you don't have anything to do, come to the car show. So, and if you do have something to do, come to the car show.
Yeah.
But again, 9 to 3, rain or shine, they're going to be having it, but it's going to be sunny and 70. I'm almost positive over there. So it'd be a great benefit, great cause. Get out there again to the Grace Point Church next Saturday from 9 to 3. So,
for what it's worth, I did check the weather, and it is supposed to be sunny and 70.
Just nailed that. So, but hey, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here. Appreciate the calls.
Yeah,
it was a great show, Scotty.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
Absolutely.
coming in and hanging out with us. It was a fun hour. It's always exciting hearing people's stories and stuff like that. So, but want to thank the sponsors of the show, which is going to be Big Corner Creative for all the marketing, advertising, windshield wraps, window tinnings, conventional, traditional media and advertisement. If there's something you need done, those guys can do it. As they say, just Google us. So the other one's going to be BG Products, all the great preventative maintenance items that we have right here inside Mel Hambelton Ford to get your vehicle up and going and running many, many miles. This cooler weather's coming on. BG Products. Cannot talk enough about the diesel and anti-gel. You guys need to get on it. The season's coming, and don't be the guy that's got to call in after the first freeze and say, "Hey, I can't go anywhere. My vehicle won't start." So again, BG Products of Kansas, all the great preventative maintenance items, and then Go To Rent. If you're looking for a larger vehicle, November already.
Dude.
So Thanksgiving, Christmas, you need a larger vehicle, go to grandma's house, give Stan a call right here inside Big Corner Creative. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will talk to you next Saturday.